Our society is ruled by powerful people, and today being powerful means being able to sell and impose one's own ideas, one's own way of thinking on others. What makes a human being capable of influencing people's beliefs and attitudes? How is it possible to draw a crowd, to achieve resounding success? Rhetoric is something innate to all humans, or only those who are particularly gifted can manage to use it? Everyone uses rhetoric. For many people it may imply speech that is simply persuasive. For others, rhetoric may imply something more negative like trickery or even lying. One assumption implicit in the art of rhetoric is that people, even intelligent people, can disagree with each other. Sometimes they disagree with each other about deeply held beliefs. When such disagreements become pronounced, there are two typical results. Either they begin to fight, or they engage in debate. Rhetoric removes disagreement from the arena of violence and turns it into debate, a healthy and necessary step in any democracy. Rhetoric traditionally caters for three types of discourse relating to real-life situations in which orators had to perform in the ancient world: judicial rhetoric, deliberative rhetoric, and epidictic rhetoric. The deliberative cause is concerned mainly with the wisdom or practical implications of a certain course of action. In forensic oratory, people must show how the law speaks to the situation at hand, either in letter or in spirit. Finally, in epidictic oratory, people must convince the audience of the positive or negative value of a certain person, place, thing, or idea. Quintilian first described the fundamental functions of a rhetorical speech. It has to inform, docere, to touch the audience so it will adhere to the thesis proposed, movere, and it has to be entertaining, delectare. In order to be effective, it has to contain the 5 canons of classical rhetoric: inventio or invention, the process of developing and refining arguments; dispositio or arrangement, the process of arranging and organizing arguments for maximum impact; elocutio or style, the process of determining how speakers present their arguments using figures of speech and other rhetorical techniques; memoria or memory, the process of learning and memorizing speeches so speakers can deliver it without the use of notes; and actio or delivery, the process of practicing how to deliver speeches using gestures, pronunciation, and tone of voice. The birth of rhetoric is located in 5th century Sicily, but it started to become famous and important only thanks to Gorgias and Protagoras, two of a group of Greek thinkers collectively known as the Sophists, a group of traveling teachers or intellectuals who were experts in rhetoric. In fact, both of them argued that there was no such thing as absolute objective truth that was independent of human thought, but rather they argued that human knowledge was based on our perception of things, and the perception that was most persuasive was the one regarded as the truth. Plato rejected the Sophists' view of life. He introduced the concepts of episteme, absolute certainty, and doxa, expression of opinion and probability. Unlike the Sophists, he relegated doxa and with it rhetoric to the inferior realm of appearances, whereas episteme was placed in the superior position associated with reality. Aristotle tends to represent the middle ground between the Sophists and Plato. In fact, he believes that the certainty, episteme, exists only in certain situations. Sometimes, since it is impossible to find an undisputed truth, people must try to find it through reasoning based on their opinions, doxa. He defined rhetoric as the ability to see what is possibly persuasive in every given case, and stated that good orators should build trust between themselves and the audience, ethos. They should persuade by appealing to the reader's emotions, pathos, and through the use of reasoning, logos. Cicero, similarly to Plato and Aristotle, concerned himself with the art of rhetoric and what it means to be a good orator. Since Roman citizens had to undertake the cursus honorum, the path to the Roman consulship, which implies many different fields, Caesar believed that the ideal orator needed to be knowledgeable about all areas of human life and culture, including law, politics, history, literature, ethics, warfare, medicine, even arithmetic and geometry. He gave rise to the idea that the ideal orator be well versed in all branches of learning. Quintilian is famous and important for his 12-book textbook on rhetoric entitled Institutio Oratoria, which deals not only with the theory and practice of rhetoric, but also with the foundational education and development of the orator himself. For Quintilian, rhetoric and its elements were important throughout a student's education. With the advent of Christianity and the revealed truth, rhetoric started to live a difficult period. It was considered as pagan part of the Greek or Roman culture, imbued with hopeless moral corruption. Pagan rhetorical invention generates probable knowledge, while Christian knowledge is absolute. So rhetoric held the stage from the 5th to the 7th century. Then it went to decline for several centuries and became secondary to the study of grammar and logic. Moreover, with the invention of the printing press during the Renaissance, the written word came to dominate, and rhetoric, especially the part of delivery and memory, declined in importance. At the turn of the 20th century, there was a revival of rhetorical study thanks to the renewed importance of language and persuasion in the increasingly mediating environment of the 20th century and through the 21st century, with the media focus on the wide variations and analysis of political rhetoric and its consequences. The rise of advertising and mass media, such as photography, telegraphy, radio, film, television and the internet, brought rhetoric more prominently into people's lives, especially the parts of delivery and memory which had lost their importance due to the invention of the printing press and the renewed interest towards writing documents. With the advent of technology, in fact, people, especially presidents, with their speeches, could reach a huge number of spectators. Moreover, thanks to the television and the internet, not only could these speeches be heard, but also seen. Rhetoric becomes a more visual commodity, and it is becoming increasingly important and necessary to learn how to impress, how to behave and speak effectively in front of an audience, following the public speaking rules. Orators, in order to be effective, must appear natural and spontaneous, smile, establish a communicative bond with listeners, looking at them personally and pleasantly, aiming at ensuring clarity by choosing concrete words over abstract words, by using familiar words and language vividly and imagery. They must overcome stage fright and be able to use the volume, rate and pitch of their voice in order to add emphasis and color to their speeches, not only with words but also with pauses, which sometimes can be fundamental to keep increase and direct audience attention. It is important to underline the relationship between the public speaking, rhetoric and politics. Since its early days, politics and political discourse resorted to rhetorical devices in order to sway, to persuade people, and to keep and strengthen their power. However, today the invention and the availability of new and powerful means of communication have intensely changed the original political context, which was based on direct contact among participants. Information between politicians and institutions on one side and citizens considered as voters on the other, is filtered by global media, which has become the space in which news and reality are broadcasted, recreated and transformed. So, a third form of political reality, closely related to the coverage and the resonance of the media, has been created: the mediatization of political discourse. With the mediatization, the role of the leader has changed. He has been transformed from simple party exponent to bearer of an ideology, a charismatic leader who pervades the entire political process with his strong personality. Politicians have become proper actors who have learned how to exploit the opportunities offered by the media in order to present themselves as a perfect and idealized candidate in the political stage. Recent studies in conversation analysis suggest that audience responses to political speeches are strongly influenced by rhetorical construction and the use of certain rhetorical devices in political discourse. Max Atkinson, in his book called Our Master's Voices, The Language and Body Language of Politics, outlines 7 important rhetorical devices that more than others trigger applause in political speeches: contrast, list of 3, puzzle solution, headline punchline, combination, position taking, and pursuit. However, the presence of rhetorical devices does not necessarily constitute an invitation to applaud. The delivery of the message is also crucial. Rhetorical discourse, especially political discourse, is both form and content. Only combining these 2 aspects, orators will be able to sway and influence their audiences.